He kept working at the cannery, but he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander.
Oh my.
I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved.
Oh, das ist hart, beides gleichzeitig zu machen.
Bats and toads. And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head.
Oh, cool.
But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself.
Oh mein Gott, die Grafik wird besser.
But he found something more.
Die Grafik wird so viel besser.
Daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend.
Ich nenne ihn Bogo. Komm, Bogo.
On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination. So he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won.
Nice.
They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him.
Oh my God.
He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis.
St. Louis.
He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on. In Lewisburg, he heard rumors of a
Wunderschönen Prinz.
beautiful prince. The prince was on his own quest for
Regenbogen!
radiant rainbows.
Yeah! Habe ich ja schon gesagt, dass es hart ist, beides zu kontrollieren.
He followed the sound of his silver harp. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained
Oh my
sound.
god. Oh my.
He knew the world was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king.
Look at that.
For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him. He began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions. including the wise Calico who'd insisted on inviting him.
Yay! You get money! Money! Oh. No. This is eine Guillotine.
His prince waited, holding his crown.
Oh no!
There was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head. And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
Der Prinz. Er ist ein Gamer, guckt euch das an. Er hat WASD markiert. Er ist voll Lotte ein Gamer. Nice. Das Wasser sieht echt cool aus in dem Spiel. Das muss ich nochmal kurz betonen. Weil Wasser ist relativ schwer anscheinend zu machen, weil in den meisten Spielen sieht Wasser scheiße aus. Oh, hier geht's nicht weiter. Ups. Okay. Wie kommt der hoch? War hier ein anderer Weg? Oh, yeah. Whoops. I'm sorry.
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left. My mom ended up leaving everything behind. What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner.
Leuchtesterne. Ich mag Leuchtesterne.
But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now was to tell you about that last night.
Cooles Zimmer. Wir haben ein cooles Zimmer. Definitiv.
That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
To our final night together, and all our final nights apart.
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
Bye.
the power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
Nice.
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning, okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around. I started seeing things.
Hi. Oh my. Bobby.
Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine!
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go! I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot.
Das habe ich als Kind auch gemacht.
We both tried to make the best of it.
Das habe ich als Kind auch immer gemacht.
A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it, but she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you and tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Aww. I agree. Aww. Aww. Oh, das war wundervoll. Oh, das war so cool. Guckt euch die Goofy-Mütze an. Wunderschön. Love it. Also ich finde die coolste Geschichte war Barbaras, weil das so Comic-Style-mäßig war. Das war so cool. Das war für mich persönlich das Highlight. Die traurigste war die von den beiden Zwillingen. Weil der Brief, den der Bruder an den Zwilling geschrieben hat, das hat mich echt getroffen. Ich weiß nicht warum, aber in dem Moment mir sind echt Tränen in die Augen geschossen. Weil es so... Es war so gut geschrieben, so kindlich und so froh und trotzdem realisieren, dass der Bruder nicht mehr da ist, sozusagen. Es war so cool. Ich meine, alle anderen Geschichten waren auch super cool. Und die Art und Weise, wie gesagt, die Art und Weise, wie es erzählt wurde, ist richtig cool. Das war so cool. Das war ein richtig cooles Spiel. Krass. Das hätte ich jetzt nicht erwartet, um ehrlich zu sein. Um ganz ehrlich, ganz ehrlich zu sein, hätte ich das nicht erwartet. Aber es war richtig cool. Ich gehe mal stark davon aus, dass der letzte Moment, wo das Zelt auf ihn zugekommen ist, dass das sein Tod war. Weil danach das war. Ich denke, er wurde von Sachen erschlagen. Weil es hieß, dass da Tornado, irgendwie sowas war im Gange. Und ja. Ich denke, das war eher sowas in der Richtung. Kein Tod durch Blitzschlag, sondern erschlagen. Ja. Das ist sehr cool gewesen. Krass. Krass. Das war so cool. Jede einzelne Story war richtig cool erzählt. Richtig cool.